Ah, good to see a familiar face. Welcome to Korriban. This planet's got a hell of a lot of stories to tell. None of them pleasant. We'd be here for an hour even if I just gave you the short version. Maybe another time. Right now, I've got something special to show you. You see this box? This is what I came here for. I'm picking it up for some collector on Eriadu who's paid a fortune for it. There's a few dozen of these out in the galaxy, scattered all around, and they're ancient, more so than they look. This one's at least 30,000 years old. Ooh, don't try to open it. Trust me, that's the last thing you want to do with one of these. This isn't any old box. It's the symbol of an ancient empire's reign of terror, home to someone who should have died tens of thousands of years ago. What you're looking at, my friend, is a mind prison.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
This box was found here, on Korriban, in one of the planet's most remote and ancient tombs, but mind prisons like it have been found all over the galaxy, all on planets that are notable for some reason or another. But most of them have been found on one planet in particular, out in the unknown regions. I've heard it called Lehon, but I have no idea whether or not that is its proper name. It's a pretty world, an ocean planet dotted with thousands of tropical islands, but it's also one of the more uncanny places in the galaxy. The works of civilizations past are littered all over the place. The islands are dotted with ancient ruins, from isolated temples and camps to vast ancient cities, which are now almost completely overgrown. And the whole planet is covered with space wrecks, from downed freighters to ancient Republic cruisers. But across the entire planet, there isn't a single sentient being remaining. It's an eerie world, a haunted world, and even though it looks nice and pleasant, the whole planet feels like ancient evil, long dead but still potent, the thousand atrocities of an ancient empire come home. Right now, the Republic rules the galaxy, and that's how it's been for as long as anyone remembers. But it didn't always, and the galaxy is littered with the ruins of another civilization of similar scale, one that ruled for 10,000 years before its collapse allowed for the rise of the Republic. This was an ancient empire that enslaved the entire galaxy, building monuments to its rulers that still stand today. I told you about one of them before. Remember the Builder Forge on Kashyyyk? The people who made that thing, remembered by species across the galaxy as the Builders, came from Lehon. But they didn't stay there. Archaeologists are still trying to piece together the full story of the Builders and their infinite empire, but by all accounts they were vicious and incredibly powerful. They enslaved entire species and exterminated others, terraformed planets, even brutalized each other, maintaining a rigid caste system within their own species. The legends of some people say that the Builders were cannibals who feasted on the bodies of their dead, and if that's true, it tracks with the violence they inflicted on the galaxy. Nothing could stop them. Not until they were hit by a plague, which devastated the Builders, destroyed their empire, and forced them back to their home world. Archaeologists say there was a civil war there, just a few centuries before the dawn of the Republic. A war that ended with the use of weapons of mass destruction, which wiped out nearly all that remained of the Builders. Those that survived died out long ago. The infinite empire of the Builders was built on strict hierarchies, and those at the top enforced them in many, many ways. There is no end to the kinds of exotic violence the infinite empire used to keep its subjects in line. The legends of some people say the Builders had an infinite fleet, unstoppable and all-consuming, which could cleanse whole planets of life. Individual offenders were met with every form of torture you could think of, plus many more that you probably couldn't even imagine. These punishments were sometimes inflicted on entire species that the builders considered undesirable. And like the Republic today, the Infinite Empire also used prisons to maintain control. In the Republic, most offenses worth caring about come with some amount of jail time, but for the builders, prison was one of the more extreme punishments. It was apparently usually reserved for members of their own species, as well as for some members of other species that the builders wanted to preserve for study, but didn't want to deal with otherwise. As you can tell just by looking at this little box, the builders' prisons were far removed from the ones we have in the Republic. It's much too small to fit a human in, or at least it might look that way. It doesn't look all that special either. It looks like an ancient cargo crate, and you might easily confuse it with some unremarkable ancient artifact from Lihon or any other world with history. From what I've heard, the places the builders stored these things weren't anything special either. My client told me this one was dug out of some ordinary-looking cellar in some old temple, with nothing but shelves that once must have been full of these little boxes. It's only if you make the mistake of opening the box that you realize how these things work and comprehend the full extent of the builder's cruelty. The inside of the box is nothing but white light, which you see for only a moment before there's a sudden flash. An outside observer would see your body go limp immediately, and if they took your vitals, they'd probably think you were dead. When you open one of these boxes, it rips your consciousness straight out of your body and imprisons it inside. The ancient builders apparently used these mind prisons in a few different ways. In some cases, sentences in mind prisons were temporary, in which case they preserved the body of the condemned and download their mind back into it when their sentence was up. Whatever they used to re-download convicts back into their bodies is lost to history now though, which means all mind prisons work the same way now. They imprison convicts for eternity, something even the builders only inflicted on their worst criminals. For those types, the builders would destroy the bodies of the condemned after they were imprisoned, meaning that they could never be set free no matter what happened. The world inside the box is stark white, an infinite expanse of emptiness as far as the eye can see. The only features within are a bed and a set of 4 stone pillars around it. No idea what the pillars are for or what's written on them, but they're there. Aside from those features, it's just the whiteness, eternal and unchanging. If there are other beings in the mind prison, sometimes you can hear their voices whispering from the void, and at other times, you can hear their screams. A few months of the whiteness is enough to drive anyone mad, but a few months is a blink of the eye for the condemned in these boxes. They get to endure the whiteness forever, never dying, never even aging, without hope of ever being released from their endless torment. Some of the mind prisons are empty, some aren't. Some of the occupied ones hold relatively new arrivals who were ensnared by the mind prison on accident, and some hold their original prisoners, builders who have been stuck in the whiteness for 30,000 years. This mind prison is one of those, one with an ancient builder inside. I don't know his name, nor does he. It's been so long that he has forgotten it. You might be wondering how I know all this about the inside. Well, that's because I know someone, an archaeologist I run shipments for, who got trapped in this one and escaped. As it turns out, these prisons aren't inescapable, but escape requires knowledge of how the technology works, which rules out anyone alive today, and it requires an empty body available for the imprisoned one to inhabit, which rules out the original prisoners whose bodies have long since turned to dust. That gives our friend inside the box only one way to escape. Someone else needs to open the box and get stuck inside, just like that acquaintance of mine. Apparently, even then, nobody can escape the mind prison unless the imprisoned one and the visitor both agree to allow it. The builder in this box challenged my friend to a game of riddles, with the winner allowed to leave the prison. Lucky for my archaeologist pal, she's better at riddles than an ancient warlord that was imprisoned for who knows how long, so she was the one who escaped. The next person to open this box might not be so lucky. Well, that next person isn't going to be me, and I wouldn't recommend you try your luck with it either. Maybe that collector on Eriadu will give it a try, and our builder friend will finally be free. Speaking of, I've got to get this thing to the other side of the galaxy. I'll see you soon.